What's up? It's Alex here with another episode of the List My Products e-commerce podcast. Today I'm joined by Dave Crabill. Dave, how are you?
Fantastic. Great to be here.
Dave is here representing the ancient secret society of honorable. Man, I really messed it up. What was the name of the group?
We just threw that in at the last, so you're okay. It's Ancient and Honorable Order of Turtles. I'm a past Imperial Turtle.
And what that means is, to the audience, differentiate yourself, right? Dave told me a story before we were on the air about how he used to sell pagers and services around the pagers, around the phone numbers, and a recurring revenue stream that was unique and different. And that's the angle we're going to take today because Dave's in a lot of different industries. And one thing I see in him is a creative streak, and I want that to resonate with my audience, right? So after that pager business, Dave went into the marketing space. And so, Dave, you mind telling my audience a little bit about the great work you were doing, with your agency, the Eclectic Sales Agency?
Yeah, so I created Eclectic Sales Company, and then I joined a mastermind group, and that's something I strongly recommend if you want to surround yourself around people that will elevate you. So in my mastermind group, we said, well, it says nothing about marketing in your business. So I created, I added on and I registered the LLC, Eclectic Sales and Creative Marketing, and we followed the Ryan Dice model. I don't know if you're familiar with Ryan, but
I'm not.
in or Jeff. I can't remember Jeff's last name right now, but he did the product launch. But basically the intent is to create a funnel. So you have a lead magnet, something that will bring someone into your universe that you either give away for free, typically, something that of value, because you want to provide value. That's what you're doing here today, right?
Well, thank you.
And
Yeah, yeah.
and then you have that little step up. You get them. So it's actually a tripwire, then a lead magnet. The lead magnet's like a low price point item, not a lot of friction, get them in there. If you can get them past that hurdle, now you ascend them to the next big thing. And so building these funnels, everybody's, ClickFunnels is a big player in the space now along that same logic. And it's really about providing value, back to your audience and building a community or a tribe. And that's what I've focused on. And, I had worked with local businesses. We're not working so much with local businesses anymore. We're working in certain niches and have clients in certain niches that just really excel. That's fun.
Rock solid. And the thing I like the most about Dave, and sometimes I bring on gurus, right? Email masterminds, right? People who are great at sending email deliverability. Dave owns a business, right? Dave is here on behalf of the great work he's doing in the hemp industry. So, Dave, you mind telling us a little bit about what you're doing in hemp right now? That way people can listen to your story, because sometimes I find ourselves talking too much about the specifics of this or this. I'd love to hear the story behind, what you've got going on in hemp right now.
Do you want me to start from the beginning of how I got involved in this crazy business?
Right on. And I definitely want you to touch on, your online presence in it as well, because I think I see you doing a lot of things better than, several of your competitors.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, I had a speaking of mastermind. There's also this group that I would meet on a regular basis on Friday afternoons for a beverage, and this one guy, older gentleman, buddy of mine, Jono, had really cheesy business cards. I mean, like you've seen them; they're just horrible. And he was talking about industrial hemp and telling us all the cool things he could do, and it was just like going over my head for like a year. Then he decides he wants to host a meeting, and he wants help. And I said, well, I pitch him on a little website, and all of a sudden there's some money in the game. I'm interested, right? So it's like, I'll put some energy into this. I'll help him. Well, we put together an event, and we had speakers fly in from all over Canada and the U.S., and we had a state senator speaking. We had about 126, mostly farmers, show up at our first event, January 26th, 2019. Since then, I've hosted a couple dozen events, educational events around hemp. I grew an acre of hemp. I still have distillate from that grow, but I launched a product line, Turtle Pond Botanicals, and I've learned a lot. So it's the community that I found, this farming community, in learning about agriculture and learning about the ways that hemp can help benefit people in the planet just hooked me in. So I've invested probably 60% of my energies at least into industrial hemp. This is hemp wood behind me. There's a company in Kentucky that's making hemp wood. It's a really cool product. They do flooring, and these are some panels they cut for me real thin to put on the wall, and it's just been a fun adventure. And hemp has a way to impact every industry. It's a real deep dive when you start getting into it. A lot of people are familiar with CBD, and that's you can see
Is that what
CBD.
you've got there?
Yeah, this is a tincture. These are actually pet drops. So sell a lot of this pet drops.
And that's grown locally and kind of, materials you got here in Michigan.
Yeah, so I'm sourcing these from a company in northern Michigan that does all the formulation and everything. I have some products, like my homemade stuff I use for myself, and I've got my little
You got
milligrams and everything in here and my little labels. So I take that, but and I mix that one kind of strong, but but yeah, but it's been a lot of fun. Probably my biggest seller is an intensive release salve. I don't have one here on my desk, but like a stick, like a deodorant stick that you rub on whatever hurts, and it really really helps. And it's I can tell you some story. You won't spend a lot of
I
time
would
on
love to hear
it.
about that actually. Yeah.
Well, I was active in Optimus International for a couple decades. I served as president a couple times for our local chapter, and I was what's a lieutenant governor a couple times. They're very active, and but I just didn't have time to do it anymore. I resigned. But one of the leaders in the organization that I knew reached out to me, and she's practically in tears. She says, "David, I hear you have the CBD products, and I'm in pain. I need your help." And so I drove like an hour away and delivered a bunch of CBD products to her and just gave them to her. Here, and she referred, it helped her. She had hip issues, and it helped her. And then she referred me to another lady whose son was in a bad accident, and it was helping him. And then she started buying a bunch of products from me. And the stories, the feedback that I get, and the calls, this one lady that was, and that's one of the things in marketing. Your best customer is the referral of a referral. I mean, they're so deep in and connected to you. I mean, they love you. And this lady, she's a retired school teacher, lives right down in Detroit, an older black lady, and she doesn't want. She's doesn't didn't want tried to send her to my cousin has a salon up in Lake Orion in the suburbs. No, David, I can't go up there. They don't like us up there. She has that mentality. And so that's okay. I'll come see you. So I would take stuff down. She called me the other day and just to tell me how much she appreciates me. Which is really that's worth more than money. Just to know that you're really helping somebody. So
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
especially I can see the ability to not only change lives, but use that marketing background, right? Thinking referral of a referral, not thinking farther down the line how this will grow. So I have two questions for you there, right? So number one, what kind of opportunities or what are some ways you've seen other ways that you've seen that marketing background benefit you in another industry like this hemp one? And then also, what are some new and exciting opportunities you're seeing in the hemp space? Because like you said, the wood right there, I don't know too many houses built with hemp wood, but I know it would be a great, material to use. right? So I know those are two different questions, but have at them.
Well, I'm not sure on the first one. What the mark? Because I can go off on a whole nother tangent. I don't think that's what your intention was. Because and how that marketing, using that marketing to build your client base.
So let me add to that, right? So the multiplication, right? You're multiplying your marketing skills with your hemp skills, and then
Mm,
multiplying the hemp opportunity with new opportunities, right? That's the way I was thinking of those. Like,
mm.
what are some ways or some unique ways that you were able to market or use your experience? Obviously, you had the website and those great tools you brought there. So let's stay there for a second, right? What are some really effective strategies you're using to market your services, currently?
Yeah, in the hemp space, it's tough. Everything is harder. Yeah, so right now I'm not feeling that anything is really knocking it out of the park. I mean, we can't advertise on social media. I called my brand Turtle Pond Botanicals because I didn't want to have hemp in the name at all, because it just they hemp is not marijuana, but hemp is cannabis sativa. Yeah, I mean it's just confusing. It's not an intoxicant, but there are hemp products now that are intoxicants. So I mean the market it's an emerging market, and when you get into an emerging market, it gets really messy. Um,
Mhm.
but as far as what we're doing now, especially because of COVID and such, we do a weekly video podcast. So we interview experts in the hemp field and educate. That's a big part of our mission, and I think that's a big part of any business as a way to build your list, because I really still believe in email marketing and building lists, wherever you have them, um, is to provide good relevant content, to give something of value to your followers, and they'll reciprocate, so
Absolutely. And that's perfect. That was a great segue because we kind of backed into it, right? Emerging market. It's new. There's odd laws in place. What do you see as the best opportunity right now in the space?
yeah. So let's talk about that, and then I'm going to do a shameless plug too. So this is a hemp frisbee.
Uh-huh.
It's 25% hemp fiber. So you take the stalk of a hemp plant and you remove this outer layer of bast fiber, which has other uses like insulation or textiles, which is a very expensive process to make it. It's a bigger investment, but
Mhm.
this inner herd is what's used for the plastics, and we don't
Choose
have
the
any.
hollowed part or the whole piece.
There's like this. See the lighter colored area in the middle.
Mhm.
That's this fiber. This what's called hurd, HURD,
Mhm.
and so that can be used as a filler in plastics. It can be used mixed with lime to make hempcrete. Um,
Mhm.
but we don't have the supply chain built yet. No one in the state has the machinery we need to do this process. It's going to take a couple $100,000 just to buy the equipment, to do that, and it's kind of the chicken and the egg, So I'm president of iHemp Michigan. I formed this trade association, which I told you about Jono in that. So Jono's a partner, but he hasn't been an active. He's a retired Marine. He's elderly. He's not very active. But we have another business partner who's retired from the USDA. Blaine Bechtold is very active with the association, and I don't know. We've been working to make things happen, but we still need more capital investment. Most of the money's going into the cannabis side, into the marijuana side. Marijuana is legal in Michigan, and there's a lot of investment capital chasing that huge market. Marijuana is now the third largest commodity crop in Michigan, and Michigan I think is the largest cannabis producer or close to it in the nation right now. But what it's done, and I could see it coming, is the market's crash. The value, when you're looking at, we couldn't talk about this in the past, right? So openly, but the value of an ounce of
Oh
marijuana
wow, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
has gone way down, right? So because of oversupply. It's the old economics 101. It's so simple. Some people gloss over your basic economics and it comes to the equation. But we have an opportunity right now. You know, hemp fiber and hemp grain. I do have some hemp seed oil up on my shelf here, but that seed of the plant is the grain, and it's a superfood. You can buy it in your grocery store. It's called hemp hearts, and that's the seed with the shell knocked off it. We could grow a dual crop. You go through and these fields are like 40,000 plants on an acre. They're real tight, real tall, spindly plants, just packed. And you come through and you cut the tops, harvest that grain, and then you come back and cut the stalks, let them rot in the field so that you can actually, because this didn't uh, rot. It's basically a decomposition that breaks this bond between the outer fiber and the inner fiber. We need that equipment, to do that, and it's no one stepped up yet, and I haven't put the energy into it to raise the capital yet. It's my business plan is circulating in my mind, to go after that. But I think it's a hell of an opportunity because animal bedding is this is great for animal bedding, and things like rabbits and gerbils and hamsters and chickens, horses, equine market. They pay big money because there's no smell. It's highly absorbent and it's naturally antibiotic. So it's a lot healthier. Like if you're raising chickens and you use hemp versus sawdust or wood chips, you have to change it out a lot less. This is just going to last longer and better. So there's a real opportunity here.
And that's not like breaking news. Like the science has been there for a while. Obviously, there's legacy barriers, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
if someone was to come to this space, say, hey, I've got the capital, because there's a sea of money. What is the real issue that's stopping, the capital placement or investment, or what is something you see as the biggest barrier?
Well, I'll give you an example. So I manufacture frisbees, and then we're also making putters, golf putters, and then we have disc golf discs using hemp, and the company name's iHemp Manufacturing. We just launched this. It's just been over a year ago, and we use the same bank where my association is because banking's really hard to find in hemp. I thought, well, I should try, and talk
It's
to my
another barrier right there. Banking is difficult.
yeah. So I talked to my big boy bank. I won't name them because this is going to be kind of embarrassing for them. But they wanted to put me under a CBD program to get an account. I'm manufacturing injection molded frisbees, and they wanted to know. I had to send them a COA on how much THC is in the frisbee. I wanted to tell them, well, if you turn it over, and there might be a lot right there, but it's like crazy, they're just challenging. So if hemp's in the business name, I recommend you don't put hemp in the business name. You're going to find a lot of barriers to typical services that normally you go to bank. It used to be in the day you get a free toaster, right? Well, now they want $250 a month. For an account, just for the pleasure of having an account. So it's a different situation in hemp.
Maybe off camera we could talk. I could talk to you about like some people I know in crypto. Maybe that could be an alternative, but then again, that's super murky. But the reason I don't want to go there is instead I want to talk about opportunity because you're bringing a lot of knowledge, right? So a lot of things people might not know. And so you've got an expo coming up where a lot of people could connect in a really healthy way and get more knowledge. You might tell my audience a little bit about that upcoming expo?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and we made the decision early, so we held our first expo in January of 2020.
Mhm.
Uh, and then you know what happened in March? Nothing, right?
Yeah.
COVID hit and nothing happened, so we had to pivot to virtual. So
Well,
we held,
especially in a state like Michigan.
yeah, so we pivoted to virtual expo, which is, in January of 21. And then with January of 2022 coming, we had it scheduled for an in-person show at the Lansing Center, and then we pushed it back because things still weren't quite right. And so we're going to host it in May at the Lansing Center in Lansing, Michigan. And we made a decision back then to go ahead and invite the cannabis crowd too, because it's one plant. So we partnered with Americans for Safe Access, which is dealing with some issues. If there, CBD is a huge benefit for children that have seizures, like epilepsy and such. I mean, there's an actual FDA approved drug that is just CBD oil, but at a mega dose, through Charlotte's Web that's offered. So, but the kids, if they want to take CBD, they have to leave the school grounds to take it. So if they're on some kind of medical regimen where they take some, throughout the day, their parents have to meet them and take them off school grounds to take the CBD. I mean, that's how stupid this is. So,
Yeah.
Americans for Safe Access is working on issues like that, where it'll be legal for kids to take their medicine while they're at the school. So we brought them in because there's a lot of education yet to be done, and it's on the whole plant. So at that expo, we'll have equipment manufacturers. The guys that make this type of equipment will have equipment there at the show. Um, we'll have the hemp wood company. Just a variety of things that you can see everything that people are making from this amazing plant at one location, and we have about 50 presenters and different breakout sessions to educate. If you're well, different tracks where if you're depending on what you're looking for, you're going to have content that's going to help bring you up to speed. And one of the motivations for bringing in the cannabis side was that a lot of farmers really got hurt when people from Colorado and California came to Michigan in 2019, and it was pie in the sky estimates as to what your valuation of your crop would be at the end of the year, and they just got clobbered, and they're sitting on product, and um, many of them have pivoted. If they're found that they're good at growing cannabis, then they pivoted to the recreational side. So we're providing some paths to that as well. Although growing is a challenging venture with the oversupply of the market. So, but we'll have education about all of that, and lawyers talking about expungement, because there's a lot of people who have previously gone to jail and are felons, for marijuana, and now there's actually programs to get that expunged and opportunities for them to enter this market and provide goods and services to people that are in need, to help compensate for, how they've been wronged in the past.
You can never get time back, and so I'm glad that you were thoughtful enough and gracious enough to spend some of your time with us today, right? Educating the audience, bringing your cool products on. You mind showing us again that frisbee? I think it's so cool.
Yeah, so this is the first generation frisbee that we made, and this
Yeah.
thing's like a tank. So we changed
Yeah.
our formula. Yeah, this would take your teeth out, and this had things you learn. So this has kind of a high spot right here.
Mhm.
So printing on it was kind of tough. So now we can print. This is actually printed. Get that up. Oh, I'm upside down. It printed on here. It costs like $5 a piece to print these stupid frisbees. It's not cheap, but
Oh man, Nelson, my guy Nelson in the crowd is a faithful listener, from South Florida. He was telling me, I remember one time I was talking with him and he's putting his labeling on and he had a whole bunch of mugs come out upside down. And
No, that's a bummer. Yeah, yeah. We all make mistakes. It's how you react to them, right?
that's right, especially in manufacturing. But hey, so in conclusion here, where can people reach out? I'll make sure I link to your website as well as the conference below. Are those the best places to reach out and get in contact with you?
Yeah, iHempMichigan.com.
Rock solid. Well, Dave, thank you so much for spending some time with us today and educating the audience.
My pleasure, Alex. Nice to meet you.
Till next time.